Exodus chapter 16. When you have it, say amen. I'm not sure if you know, but God is growing our church. He is growing his church in a major way. I say this and I boast in the Lord. I know what time of year it is, and I know that all of our members are not here. But just a moment, I went outside and took a look at the parking lot, and I started blessing the Lord. Because it's good to have a parking problem. It's good to have a parking problem. It's a problem when you can park anywhere, but when the church has a parking problem, that's a good problem. That means God is doing something. And church, you ought to be excited because God's getting ready to do something greater. Amen. Exodus chapter 16, when you have it, say amen. Meet me at verse number 19. Does anybody need a word this morning? Exodus chapter 16, verse number 19. I'm reading from the New International Version. You'll find these words recorded. Then Moses said to them, no one is to keep any of it until morning. I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to preach this passage as no doggy bags allowed. No doggy bags allowed. You may be seated. Thank you. Thank you, ushers. Would you say I thought after us? No doggy bags allowed. Man should not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of God. If you are, and I know you are, familiar with the franchise called Golden Corral. Golden Corral has some very interesting policies. They do have the option of takeout. If you don't want to stand there and enjoy the buffet experience, you can order takeout. But if you choose not to take out and experience the dine-in process or the experience, it's an all-you-can-eat buffet style type. Lord, I hope y'all ain't been fasting. God, I hope y'all ain't been fasting. This is gonna make this hard. But there are a couple of policies about Golden Corral that you gotta pay attention to. The first policy is, with every round you go to, get a new plate and new utensils. And the second policy is no doggy bags allowed. And when you think about it, my brothers and sisters, sometimes most of us are not in a series of a need, but we are in a series of greed. We got what we need, but we want more. And the truth of the matter is, we can't handle what we already got. And so sometimes God has to let us know it's not about what you want that's the issue. It's about what you need. Because if God kept giving us excess and excess and excess, then we would find excuses for being arrogant and mean and trifling and no good. If God gave us everything we wanted, and yes, don't get me wrong, God is a God that will give us good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. He will cause men to give into our bosom. But if you do notice, every season is not a surplus season. So we do have a God who is a God of more than enough, but sometimes he'll just give you enough. And we have to learn to get out of our feelings when God don't give us what we expect him to give us. Let's look at the passage for just a moment, brothers and sisters. It's Exodus chapter 16. The children of Israel have just left Egypt. They just watched the Lord deliver them from Pharaoh by closing up the Red Sea. They are in the desert place. They are between Elam and Sinai. They are not where they want to be. They are in what I call transitional living. Now, if you ever known anything about transitional living helps you to become a better person before you're released into society. And I know you're thinking about some convicts and people who ran away from home, or somebody who used to be in a psychiatric facility, but some saints right now are in transitional living. What do you mean, Pastor? You're not where you want to be, but you ain't where you used to be. I need about 3 or 4 of us in here who can testify I'm in transition right now, because I know there are some things that God promised me. There are some things God spoke on my life, and the thing is, I have not yet received them. That's why I keep coming to church, because I'm expecting God to give them to me any day now. But while I'm waiting on God, I know that there are some things that I'm waiting on, but there are some things I've been brought out of, because I have just come out of a wilderness. I've just come out of bondage. I just came out of slavery. I just came out of captivity. I had somebody who had their foot on my neck. And the reason why I'm shouting so much is not because of where I'm going. It's because of where I just came from. Is there anybody here who can testify I ain't where I'm supposed to be, but I ain't where I used to be? If you knew me 5 years ago, talk back to me if you can. If you knew me 13 years ago, if you knew me before I got married, before I had children, if you knew me before I got to Unity, you wouldn't look at me, you wouldn't sit next to me. But if you knew my story, you wouldn't watch me shout, but you would shout along with me. I need somebody here who can testify that by the grace, I see you, Sister Bonnie, of the Lord, I come a long way. I'm in transition. If I'm talking to you, somebody shout, I'm in transition. I'm not where I'm supposed to be, but God is still working on me. My promise is on the way. My purpose is on the way. My destiny is on the way. I ain't got there yet. And you can't give up because you're still in transitional living. And so while they're in transition, they began to murmur, gripe, complain. When you research that word grumble and murmur, it literally means to be stubborn. Now, so they weren't just complaining, they were stubborn in their complaint. But of course, you don't know church folk like that. Because see, church folk, we don't ever complain. We accept whatever God allows. We don't ever talk about how bad things are. We don't ever talk about how jacked up things are, because you and I don't ever complain. That was sarcasm. I'm sorry, you missed that. Sometimes the most complaining folk in the world are folk that belong to God. And the truth be told is, if we start looking at where we are versus where we could be, we have no right to complain. Paul Jones is my favorite author. He wrote a song years ago saying, I had some good days. I've had some hills to climb. I've had some weary days and some sleepless nights. But when I look around and I think things is over, what happens? All of my good days outweigh my bad days. God, you know the song, God's been good to me, more than this whole world could ever be. What did he do? He dried my tears away, turned my midnight into day. So what you gonna do, Paul? I learned how to lift my hands and look up toward heaven and say, thank you, Lord. I won't complain. They start complaining about what was wrong. They start out of all the things to bring up, they start bringing up where they came from. You know, sometimes the enemy will trick you into believing that where you were is better than where you are. You mad because your husband ain't this and ain't that and ain't this and ain't that, but the joker you were with before you married him, ain't nobody gonna talk to me, was worse than what you got now. And you talking about leaving this one, and I know it ain't no hymn, I know it ain't in the Bible, but somebody said it's cheaper. Okay. They start thinking about where they came from, but what they failed to realize was they were in captivity. And so they start complaining, and Moses said, I'm in verses 1 through about verses 19, verses 1 through 4. Moses says to the Lord, what's going to happen? And the Lord says to him, tell them, in the evening you will know. Watch this. And in the morning you'll see. Rewind, play that again. God said, tell the people, in the evening you will know, but in the morning you're going to see. One more time for the folk in the balcony. In the evening you're going to know, and in the morning you're going to see. I think that's putting the cart before the horse. Don't I have to see in order to know? But Paul said, no, it ain't what you see. Why, Paul? Because we walk by, okay, come on, talk to me, and not by sight. Because if you went off of everything you saw, you would have never got saved. You would have never trusted God. You would have never stepped out on faith, because you look at everything you see. But God says, I don't want you to see it. I want you to know something. And God said, that's what I'm doing for some of y'all in here right now. Before you see any miracle, before you see any breakthrough, you're going to know that I am God, and I am God by myself. If you remember what the Lord told Moses to tell the children of Israel at the Red Sea, he said, stand still. You gotta know God before you see God. How many of us in here, I'm talking to somebody right now, but you've been going through some storms after storm, but the only reason how you've been kept, the only reason why you've been preserved is because you know that ain't nobody but God. If it was you, you would have blown your brains out. If it was you, you would have quit a long time ago. If it was you, you would have dropped out of college. You would have dropped out of school. You would have got the divorce. But you know your God too well to know that he will not bring you this far to turn around and leave you. Paul said that I may know him in the power of his resurrection, in the fellowship of his suffering. It's not what you see, it's what you know. And maybe the question on the table is, what do you know? I'm glad you asked me, because Paul can jump in right here. He says, I know in whom I have believed, and I am persuaded that he's able to keep that which I commit unto him against that day. You don't know what Paul knows. There's something else you should know that Paul knows, and we know. Bible readers, jump right here. That all things work together for good to them that love the Lord. I don't care what you see, child of God. The question on the table is, what do you know? Well, since you don't know nothing, let me tell you what I know. I know God will make a way. I know God will bring you through. I know God will heal your body. I know God will dry your tears. Stop looking at what you see and rest in what do you know. The Bible says that God says, here's what's going to happen. In the evening, I'm going to give you some meat. And in the morning, I'm going to rain down bread from heaven. All you got to do is go get it. And so in the evening, while they went outside, all they saw was meat, bird, quails. They got to understand, quails are birds of prey too. They only come out in the springtime. So God, watch this, meticulously moved his people in a certain season that when the quail showed up, his people showed up too. You got wax in your left ear. Try it with your right. In other words, God set the quail and the children of Israel up at the same time. And sometimes you wonder why things happen in your life that are out of your normalcy. God said, I had to set it up. I had to set you up, because when I set both of y'all up, it's going to come together. You got meat in the evening. But when they woke up, there was dew on the grass. The dew miraculously turned into these little frosted flake kind of things. Y'all think I'm blind? Research it. It's kind of circular, real small, about the size of a frosted flake. All they had to do was go out and pick it up. God is saying some things you ain't got to labor for. It's already there. Can I bless somebody this morning? Whenever you wake up in the morning, you don't have to wonder how God's going to do it. All you got to do is wake up and know that if you woke up, God's already got it taken care of. He says, in the evening, you'll see. In the morning, you know. You got to go back, Bible students, to the law first mentioned. Because last time we heard evening and morning was in Genesis chapter 1. Y'all remember Genesis chapter 1? In the beginning, God created heaven and earth. The earth was without form and void, and darkness on the face of the deep. And the Lord said, let there be light. And there was light, and he saw that the light was good. He separated the light from the darkness. Watch this. And the evening and the morning were the first day. God said, before you get into your day, you got to go through your night. David jumps in here and says it like this: tell unity, weeping. I need a Bible read here. Endures for a night. But you gotta, if you can make it to 12 midnight, if you can make it to 12 a.m., your joy will come in the morning. I need somebody here who can understand you're in the night season right now. But here, what do you normally do at night? You're asking all the right questions. Most folk go to sleep at night. So if God's got you in a night season, stop trying to wake up, walking the floor, figuring out how you're going to make it. Put on your pajamas, roll your hair up, get in that bed, turn over and go to sleep. And God says, I'll see you in the morning. Night comes. I got to go. Then day comes. And so they got quail in the evening, manna in the morning. And the Bible says, if you keep reading, it's so much manna that everybody can get as much as they want. All you can eat. Bread everywhere. Manna, and then they don't understand what it is. Have God ever blown your mind to the point where you're trying to figure out what just happened? You don't know the God I serve. So let me tell you about the God I serve. There have been some times in my life where I tried to figure out where did this $20 come from. I tried to figure out how is it that my car still got gas in it. How is it that I'm still alive when my enemy tried to shut me down? God said there was nobody but me. He says, get as much as you need for the day. Get as much as you need for the day. And so they get as much as they need. But the Lord says, tell the people of Israel, there's a stipulation. What's the stipulation? I'm in verse 19. He says, tell them no doggy bags allowed. No leftovers. No to-go plates. No styrofoam plates. Kind of like Bluebell, cut it in half. Eat all you can. Don't sell the rest, just eat all you can. Because once this is over with, then that's it for the day. And I asked the Lord, why did you tell the people of Israel no doggy bags? And it says real simple. The reason why I told them no doggy bags, number one, is because this serves as a trial. This serves as a trial. In verse number 4, the word says that the Lord says to him, I'll rain down. I got to go back to verse 4. Because verse 4 says, tell them that I'm going to rain down bread from heaven. But in verse 4, he says, they ought to go out each day. And in this way, watch this, y'all, in verse 4, he says, I'm going to test them to see if they're going to follow instructions. Sometimes God's blessing is a testing. It's not that God cannot bless you. The question is, what you going to do with it? It's not that you can't have it. The question is how you're going to handle it. Because some folk can't handle what God let them have. Talk back to me if you can. You may not want to admit it, but some of us in here have abused what God has given us and wonder why God took it away. It's because you didn't know what to do with it. And we can't get mad at God when God takes away what he gives. It's because we got the item, but we failed to read the instruction manual. What good is it for me to have a car and don't know how to start it up? Y'all get real quiet on me here. What good is it to have a wife and don't know what she's there for? Are y'all listening to me? What good is it to have a Bible but never read it? You got a gift but don't read the instruction, and because we don't read the instruction manual, we misappropriate and we abuse the gift. That's why, oh God help me, that's why a man can hit on a woman and not care about it, because he don't understand the purpose of a woman. Ah, God, a woman is not a punching bag. She is a gift from God. A man is not a sponsor or somebody that you can use for his money. He is your provider, your protector, and your priest. But because we don't read the instruction manual, we will abuse what God gives us. Preach, Pastor. They ain't going to say nothing to you. It's not that you can't have it. How will you handle it? He says, tell them, I'm using this as a test. And you got to understand, church, be careful when God bless you. Because sometimes he's blessing you to see if this is really what you want. And let's be honest, some of us don't want to be honest, but let's tell the truth. Some stuff we ask God for, we don't really want it. We just want it because somebody else got it. You and your little Nissan are cool. But because sister or brother so-and-so got a Mercedes, you want one now. You can barely meet the note on the maximum. Look at y'all ain't saying nothing to me. You begging and believing and decreeing and declaring for a house and your apartment nasty. You asking God for a boo, but you ain't got a relationship with God yet. And if you mess over God, you sure gonna mess over them. It's not that you can't have it. Can you? T.D. Jakes says it like this: can you stand? to be blessed? Because what if God really did give you everything you asked for? If God blessed some of us with what we really asked for, most of us would be dead. Y'all ain't talking back to me. Matter of fact, if some of us really ask, if we really got what we asked God for, you'd never come to church. You never come to church. As long as you broke, poor, robbing Peter to pay Paul, looking for a job, and the job you got ain't much money, you lifting your holy hands, praising God, believing God for it. The moment you get a car, you can't nobody sit in it. Why y'all looking at me funny? And the day you choose to wash it just happens to be on Sunday. But you begged God for it, and now you won't thank God for it. God said, I'm trying to test you. No doggy bags allowed, because sometimes it's only a test. Can I keep going, y'all? But not only, but God says the second reason why there are no doggy bags is because it was supplied for today. I'm in verses 19 through 30. Because the Lord told them, get what you need for today. Stop. See, here's our issue. We are so concerned about two entities that don't really matter. What two entities are there? You asking all the right questions. The two things we worry about the most are yesterday and tomorrow. Y'all looking, but some folk right now, what you gonna do tomorrow? And some of us sitting here repenting off of what we did yesterday. And God says the two things you can't change are yesterday and tomorrow. The only thing God gave you is today. And that's why I tried to preach it last Sunday that David said, I ain't worried about yesterday or tomorrow, but this is the day. Have I got a witness here? And so since this is the day, I can't change what I did yesterday. I can't control what might happen the next day. I got a concern about today. Most of us will be more effective if we learn to maximize our moments. Right now is all you got. Move in your right now. Carpe diem. Seize the day. Matter of fact, Jesus told us about worrying about tomorrow. Matthew chapter 6. Take no thought. Come on, Bible readers. What you shall eat, what you shall drink. For after these things do the heathens think about. But verse 33, you know it by heart. But seek ye first. Come on, church. The kingdom of God and his righteousness. And all these things will be added unto you. The next verse says, don't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow gonna take care of itself. So since God has got tomorrow covered and yesterday covered, all you gotta thank him for is today. He says, get all you need today, and don't worry about tomorrow. Get all you can right now. And watch this, they began to get a whole bunch. Some got little, some got less, but everybody got something. To the point where when the next day shows up, they've already got the instruction. Don't take no doggy bags, because the sun, what they did not take, would melt in the sun. You know, some of us want to keep some in stash, but we serve a God who knows how to go in your stash. Talk back to me if you can. Them jokers start looking in their stash. I ain't making it up, it's in the Bible. The Bible says, and when they looked for their stash, they found maggots Talk back to me if you can. It started corroding in their stash. And God said the reason why I did that is because you can't live a stale life if you're serving a fresh God. If God took care of you yesterday, he's going to do it again today. Thank you, Jeremiah. Jeremiah said, tell Unity, it is of the Lord's mercies we are not consumed, because his compassions fail not. They are not renewed, but they are new every morning. Here's the shout to you. Great is thy faithfulness. God is saying to us, we got to learn that if he was faithful yesterday, he's faithful today. I think I told y'all this before. I used to work downtown Houston, third shift. And when I used to get off of work, I would stand down on the corner right across the street from HPD to catch the 79 going to Acres home. And when I'd get off around 7:15, across from my job was a big parking lot. And in the parking lot would be a congregation of birds. The birds would just be there. I'm just thinking they just around there just wanting to fellowship with each other. But around 7:15, they started getting antsy, and I wondered why they were getting antsy. And up walked what looked to be like a homeless man. The homeless man walked into the middle of the birds. I'm watching, I'm trying to see what's going down. The birds did not attack him, but they waited patiently for him. Because what I didn't see was, in his coat was a wrinkled paper bag. In the wrinkled paper bag was a small loaf of bread. What he would do is take out the bread, break it, and toss it to the birds. Now watch the birds. None of the birds fought over a slice, because each of them got a piece. And when all of them got a piece, all of them just flew away until the next day. Come here for a moment. If God can use a homeless man to feed some birds in a parking lot, all you got to do is wake up in the morning, and the same God that took care of the bird can take care of you. Why should I feel discouraged? Why should shadows come? Why should my heart feel lonely and long for heavenly home when Jesus is my portion? A constant friend is he. You know it, help me. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. Here's why I get happy. I sing because I'm happy. I sing because I'm free. Anybody here know his eye is on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. God says, if I took care of the birds, trust me to give you freshness every day. I'm not going to give you something from yesterday. I'm going to give you something for today. Didn't you notice Jesus in the model prayer? He snuck it in. You missed it. Jesus snuck it in the model prayer. He said, give us. Talk back to me if you can.